Evening, everybody, and welcome to the Lion's Den. And today is today's 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 topic and video is judges' ballots and the power of retention. Why is this so important? Because this upcoming election, we have to vote no 5 times on judge retention to get rid of these corrupt criminal judges on the attention. And so we must vote no 5 times on judge retention. And why is that? Because these judges that we have now are corrupt and criminal, and they voted to shut down your schools, they voted to shut down your businesses, they voted to shut down essential businesses and your livelihood. They also voted to kick the Green Party off the ballot in 2020. Voted to extend mail-in ballots 3 days past election day in 2020, and they also overturned convictions of sexual predators in Commonwealth court cases, and so forth. So what I have for you today is a breakdown. Let's talk about who these judges are and why their decision decisions matter. It says today we're diving into the topic that's flying under the radar. But could shape Pennsylvania's election landscape for years to come. Judicial reattention. 28 appellate judges are up for reattention this November, and their past rulings on election cases are drawing serious attention. Let's talk about these judges are and why their decisions matter. Judge Patricia McCullough made headlines for rulings that aligned with 2020 election decisions often cited by Trump allies. Judge Stacey Wallace voted to uphold Act 77, the law that expanded mail-in voting. Judge Christine Pisano Cannon supported counting undated mail-in ballots. Judge Ellen Keisler pushed for transparency in election audits and access to voting records. These aren't just illegal footnotes, they're decisions that shaped how Pennsylvania voted and how ballots were counted. Some Republican activists are urging voters to oppose reattention for judges who supported mail-in voting or ballot counting policies they disagree with. On the other side, voting rights groups are defending these judges, emphasizing fairness and judicial independence. Why it matters? Retention votes are simple yes or no decisions. If a judge doesn't get a majority yes, their seat becomes vacant, and the governor appoints a replacement. That's a quiet but powerful way voters influence judiciary. Final thoughts: if you care about election integrity, transparency, and how your vote is counted, don't skip the retention section of your ballot. These judges have already shaped Pennsylvania elections and election law, and it's your turn to decide if they should keep doing it. Keep doing it. Some sided with expensive interpretations of voting access. Others took a stricter view emphasizing legislative authority and constitutional limits. These rulings weren't just legal footnotes, they influenced outcomes and shaped public trust, and in some cases triggered legislative responses. Why this matters to you. If you care about election integrity, judicial attention is your chance to weigh in. These judges aren't just interpreting the law; they're defining the boundaries. They're defining the boundaries of our democratic process. And if you believe as I do, the judges must respect the Constitution and uphold legislative intent and avoid judicial activism, then you need to know who's on the ballot and how they have ruled. Look up what you can do. Look up the judges on your ballot this November. Review their rulings on election-related cases. Share this episode with friends and neighbors. Vote your values, because judicial attention is not a rubber stamp. Closing remarks. We're building a movement rooted in transparency, accountability, and constitutional governance. That means scrutinizing every office, from school boards to judiciary. So let's stay informed, let's stay united, and keep fighting for Pennsylvania that respects its voters. So, those are some of the rulings. What I'm about to show you is a graphic of exactly who you should vote no for in the upcoming election. Bingo. Christine Donahue, vote no, vote no, vote no. On David West, Kevin Dougherty, Alice Beck-Dubrow, Michael J. Wuchek. These are all 5 vote no's on the attention this upcoming election. This is the quiet power of the people, guys. We get a majority of no's in office, then they are no longer no longer in office, and the governor will have to appoint new judges, Republican judges, and then we'll have a 2027 special election where we get to vote in Republican judges. This is how they voted. Oh, I don't know if you can see it or not. It says 3 mail-in ballots 3 days after Election Day in 2020. Kicked the Green Party off the ballot in 2020. All 3 did this. Allowed Governor Wolf to shut down PA during COVID. That means your schools, your businesses, your churches, your livelihood. This is where we come in. We need to have a huge majority of people vote no come November 4th. This is how we get rid of them. This is how we do it, guys, and how it happens by a majority of people in office. We got an election coming up. We need everybody to vote like it's a presidential election. That means the power of the people. That means the populist movement of Pennsylvania, the working blue-collar class, the mama bears, etc. Every working class, citizen class needs to go out and vote, needs to be angry enough to get out and vote, and so forth. And then you got this. In Pennsylvania, Supreme Court currently opposed 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Opposed of 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. We can change that. These 3 Democrat Supreme Court justices are up for a 10-year reattention vote. Justice Christine Donahue and Justice Kevin Dougherty and Justice David West. These are 3 of the 5. Says these judges violated your constitutional freedoms, locked down schools and churches and businesses during COVID, picked winners and losers for essential PA businesses, forced unconstitutional orders without process, shredded our election integrity, twisted laws to enable unfair redistricting, and allowed mail-in ballot returns 3 days past late in 2020. They removed the Green Party from the ballot in 2020. Overturned convictions of sexual predators. in Commonwealth court cases, as you can see. Enjoy lifetime catalytic pension plans at taxpayer expense. They are getting your taxpayer monies. These corrupt criminal judges who did all these things are getting paid the longer they stay in office on your taxpayer money. The longer they stay in office. Do you want them to keep having your money when they're not doing anything right in office? Says, let's fire these judges by voting no on November 4th, 2025. If we vote them out, a special election will be held, like I said, held in 2027, and we could create a Republican majority on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court before the next presidential election in 2028. If we don't all vote no, we will be stuck with a Democrat majority on the court for the next 10 years. So there you have it, guys. This is our civic responsibility to go out and vote in every single election. We got to vote up and down the ballot for Republican conservatives, from school boards to state reps to judicial reattendants to superior court candidates to district attorneys and so forth. We need the power of the people. To go out and vote in 2020. Guys, come on, we got to get out and vote in every single election. We must deconstruct the administrative state. We must deconstruct the courts, flip the courts from 5 Republicans to 2 Democrats, and change the way Pennsylvania is. This is where freedom is. This is where your liberties were born. This is where freedom was fought, right here, where the Constitution was written and the Declaration was signed. This is the power of the people right here, guys. And we need to continue to keep the pressure on the deep state every day. Be vigilant, be aware, be informed, stay informed, get involved in your election. Guys, stay tuned to this podcast. Stay tuned into stuff that I post. I post stuff on my Facebook and on X and so forth. But we need to continue to get out and vote. Like I said, we need conservative constitutional judges in the Supreme Court in order that we can have a majority in the Supreme Court. Not only did they do that, but they also voted to redistrict more Democrats in 2022, redistricting maps, just like they've been doing across the country. We need to continue to do what we do best, and that is fight for your country in every single election. This is where majority of the people get to vote, get to have a say in your election, guys. So we need to continue to go out and vote and stay ready and stay informed and take screenshots of these pictures and share them around. I'll even post them separately on below, but this is where we the people need to get involved. And we also got a 2026 governor election coming up, and I wanted to play some videos for you so we can put the one that I made. Let's see if this works. Hold on, guys. There we go. Oh.
Jory?
Oh, That's not what I wanted. Why isn't it working? Okay, so I'm on. It's not working. Oh, I know why. Hold on, guys. Why is this not working? Okay, so I guess I won't be able to share it with you. But I was going to share with you a video, and it's not working. So apparently, I won't be able to show it to you. There we go. All right.
So he came up from Montgomery County as a commissioner, and he has several, he's tied to many NGOs, so non-governmental organizations, one of them being MCAP, which Sean Connolly has very much been educated on and has educated me on. MCAP is basically where they're dealing with children within the youth services and dealing with family courts and foster care and everything like that, which that in of itself, we already know. I don't know how people don't know that sexual trafficking happens. The courts are incredibly corrupt when it comes to families and breaking up families. But MCAP is being fed a whole bunch of money, which his wife, Josh Farrow's wife, helps to run. Many of these kids are being pulled out of homes. There have been victims of the Jewish community where they have powerful husbands who have taken their children from them, and Josh Shapiro has been a part of it, and you bring in all these NGOs and you have all this money behind it. That's just a small part of his corruption. The Toll Brothers fraud, you can go to tollbrothersfraud.com and read about the mortgage fraud and the building fraud, and the Security Exchange Commission is involved. But what is near and dear to me is when he was the Pennsylvania Attorney General in 2020, he was on the ballot. He was a Biden elector, which never should have happened because someone in that position is not supposed to actually be an elector, but he was, and they let that slide. But what happened was when we gave over our disclosures to William McSwain, who was the U.S. Eastern District attorney, we gave over his, the information about the fraud, and he had gone to Bill Barr, and Bill Barr said, no, you're not doing anything about it, hand it off to Josh Shapiro. And Bill McSwain still sticks to that story to this day, and I believe him, because we had submitted those affidavits and disclosures on November the 7th, and on November 17th, I had 2 armed special agents sent to my home, sent to Greg Stenstrom's home, personally sent by Josh Shapiro to intimidate, harass, and obstruct the investigation, while he was simultaneously using public funds to broadcast that the 2020 election was not stolen, that it was free and fair. And magically, 2 days before the election, he knew exactly how much more Joe Biden would win against Trump. To send 2 special agents to my front door, and then when I asked for public records about that interaction, they got nothing. Yeah. And their names are the special agents Aida Marcial and the special agent Ben Watson, and I call them out all the time.
Well, there you have it, guys.
Attorneys reach out to us.
Hold on.
That have gotten phone calls.
There's more. Sorry about that. There's more.
He's directly connected to a lot of the judges, like Judge Barry Dozer, who just passed away. These all from top to bottom, Josh Shapiro has been involved. I've had attorneys reach out to us that have gotten phone calls from Josh Shapiro telling them that they were not allowed to represent Greg or I in courts. I could go on and on and on. But you know, he's directly connected to the University of Pennsylvania. He was on the board of trustees. His father, Stephen Shapiro, is very big in the medical society in Pennsylvania. They were making money hand over foot because that's where all the COVID jabs were generated, was in the University of Pennsylvania. That's where, Joe Biden was a professor for the Annenberg Foundation, which ran factcheck.org. That's where Biden, left his classified documents, was inside of the University of Pennsylvania. The amount of evidence that I have against Shapiro, I don't say that, just willy-nilly that he's a criminal. He's a criminal. Right. The minute you step on my front porch and personally send 2 agents to my front door as a witness, someone needs to justify that for me. That is criminal activity. That's the stuff of like the mob. Right. Showing up at my front door as a United States citizen to intimidate and harass me as a witness. So that in and of itself, that is why I call him a criminal. And I'm telling you, as long as I'm breathing, I will make sure that one day that man does the perp walk.
What do you have to say about the comments from President Pro Tem Kim Ward and a number of other Republican women senators who have questioned why your former legislative secretary stayed on as did?
Yeah, look, first off, I'd just say consider the source when it comes to the President Pro Tem.
Every corner of Pennsylvania, families are hurting. Since Josh Shapiro became governor, our economy has tumbled. Today, Pennsylvania has the 5th highest taxes in the country, utility prices skyrocketing, and the highest grocery price increases in America. A new study has exposed that under Shapiro, Pennsylvania now ranks as one of the worst states in the nation. And it's about to get even worse. Shapiro's state budget isn't just late for the 3rd straight year, it's bloated with waste and will likely mean another tax increase. Yet, where's Shapiro? Instead of Pennsylvania, Shapiro's been spending his time in other states, raising money from the most radical liberals to bankroll his campaign for president. According to newly released documents, Shapiro spent $18,000 on hotel rooms in California alone. Shapiro has also been traveling out of state to appear on the most liberal talk shows, including The View and The Daily Show and Colbert, to talk about his run for president. The bottom line, Shapiro's a career politician who's always been running for a different job than the one he has. And Pennsylvania's families have paid a heavy price. But this isn't where this story ends.
There's a video that was a video I just put together for attack video for Josh Shapiro for the upcoming 2026 election. Yes, and that's what. But I was saying earlier is that this all goes back to us in this upcoming election, November 5th, 4th, 2025, where we, the people, the populist movement of Pennsylvania, have to get out and vote so we can kick these criminal, corrupt judges out of office who shut down your schools, took away your churches, shut down your churches and your businesses, and picked and choose winners and losers for essential businesses, and extended mail-in ballots 3 days past election day on 2020, and got us into this mess on Act 87 or Act 77. And many of these other judges who also voted in the appellate courts to uphold Act 77, as well as because that way we can have a non-gerrymandering state, in all red state in Pennsylvania come in 2026 when we get a Republican governor in. This is where we got to deconstruct the states. This is where we got to deconstruct the administrative state, deconstruct the courts, and bring the fight to the deep state. And every single election, we got to act like this is a presidential election, or else we keep losing these small important elections and offices to Democrats. Just like if you don't run for judge of elections and you're a Republican, most likely a Democrat will run for it or get appointed for that position. And it goes all the way up to keeping our schools that way by getting on the school board and being Republican and conservative and running for state rep or whatever office is available. We need to continue to cycle through candidates, continue to pretend every election is a presidential election. This is the working blue class populist movement here in Pennsylvania. And we got to continue to fight every single election. We got to continue to fight every single time. We got a huge election in 2026. We could be the first time for Pennsylvania to have a female governor in history, and kick out Josh Shapiro again. Because if we lose it to Doug Mastriano or any other small beans candidate that couldn't win in the first round, because Stacey Garrity can beat Josh Shapiro. She showed it in 2024 by getting the most votes in a statewide row office, beating Josh Shapiro 2.9 million in 2022 with 3.9 million votes, and has the grassroots behind her. She also has a bunch of hardworking manufacturer donors and supporters and endorsers behind her as well. I'm telling you this because this is the truth. I don't care if people say that Doug is the person. Doug didn't do it the last time. Doug won't do it this time again, because then we'll end up in a lame duck session for another 2 years until we get another majority. If we lose, Doug Mastriano wins and we lose this election to him, we lose the whole majority in the House. We lose the whole down ballot in the primary or in the general election. We lose it all just like we did this time. So we need to vote for Stacey Garrity. I don't care about the robocalls. She was trying to do something right for a change. But this is where it is at. The numbers don't lie. You can go on Wikipedia and look at just how bad Doug Mastriano lost to Shapiro in 2022 by 15 points. And in 2024, in 2024, Stacey Garrity had almost beat President Trump by a margin of votes for a statewide row office in 2024. And she also won in 2020 without Trump on the ballot, and still won. So that's 2 times she can win on and off the ballot without the Trump effect, without the Trump backing. And so this is where we come in. This is where the grassroots comes in. We got to support the candidate that's able to win. If you want to win, plus Shapiro has a woman problem. He has a problem with women who are strong and independent and conservative. And you can just go back and look online at the 292,000 sexual harassment lawsuit that he filed to cover up his advisor running. That's what that video in the middle was. That was blinking with fire. He was being investigated. He was being interviewed about his advisor leaving, and when he said "consider the source," he was downplaying it, saying "consider the source" because the Senate 10 pro is Kim Ward, a strong, independent woman. That should have showed you that he has a woman problem, and if you want to make his life miserable, the best way to do that is to have Stacey Garrity run along with a lieutenant governor that is a woman. We could have a woman like Senator Kristen Phillips Hill, or a state rep Charity Grim Krupa or Natalie Malak and Martina White. These are all good candidates to put on for lieutenant governor. They're strong, independent, they're bulldogs, they're attorneys, and so forth. They're not afraid to call out the Democrats. They're not afraid to call out corruption and complacement in the House, and still are. Martina White is known to call out District Attorney Larry Krasner in Philadelphia, and so forth. This is where we get people. This is where we need to be. This is how we win, guys. This is how we do it. But like I said, this is the way you get back your. This is the way you get back your state. This is where you get back your Commonwealth. This is the way you take out the corrupt criminal judges. The way we vote Republicans in 2027, right before the general election, right before the presidential election, with a special election. This is we the people. This is the power of the people, of the populist movement, of the mega movement here in Pennsylvania. This is where we come in, guys. This is where we come in, guys. This is where we can fight and continue to fight and bring the fight to the deep state. If you think that just because 2024 came and we got President Trump, that they're just going to simply hand over our republic, hand over our constitutional republic and our Commonwealth, you're sadly mistaken. Every fight is going to be a fight. Every day is going to be a fight to keep our republic, to keep our America, to keep our constitutional republic, to keep our Commonwealth. And we must continue to do it every single day. Every single day we must continue to go out and vote and deconstruct the administrative state, because these are sick commie people, sick communist people. Look what they did. They overturned sexual predator convictions in Commonwealth court cases. They shut down your livelihood. They shut down your businesses. They voted to kick democracy off the ballot in 2020 by kicking the Green Party off the ballot and using their maps to redistrict in 2022. They picked winners and losers for central businesses to stay open in 2020. They took your kids' education away for 6 months, major and socializing for 6 months in 2020. They shredded your election integrity by voting for extending mail-in ballots 3 days past election day in 2020, and upholded these Act 77 law cases in the appellate courts. This is where we got to beat them. We got to beat them in this election, guys. We got to kick these people out. We need a 40 to 50% voter turnout in Pennsylvania statewide. I would show you the numbers, but I don't have the graphs up. It was ridiculous. But from my head, I can remember the municipal election here in York County alone was 10.65%. Statewide was only 20%. We did worse this year than we did in 2023 in the municipal election. Democrats even beat us in voter turnout with 20%, and Republicans only had 18% in this election. This is where we got to show up and pretend every single election is a presidential election, because local action affects national action. It's all about action, guys. All about getting involved and staying informed. Follow my podcast. Follow my X. Follow my True Social. Follow Steve Bannon. Follow whoever you follow, whatever podcast you follow. But we need to continue to get out and vote in every single election. It's important. I'll show you again just what I'm talking about. Look, right here. If you can see it, mail-in ballots, and 3 days after Election Day in 2020, those two voted for it. Kicked the Green Party off the ballot in 2020. These three voted for it. Allowed Governor Wolf to shut down PA in in 2020. These were your schools and your churches and your religious freedom and your socializing and your normalcy, and picked winners and losers for this and so forth. I'll show you another one. These are the 5 judges. Oh, hold on. These are your 5 judges right here. Christine Donahue, David Welch, Kevin Doherty. No, 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 no. Vote no. This is where the power of the voice comes in. This is where the power of your vote comes in and really matters, and so forth. Then here's another one for you. Here it all is right here. It says vote no on judicial reattention. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court currently composed of 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. We can change that this fall. Like I said, take a picture of this, send it to your friends and family, or I can post it underneath of whatever social I have, so you can have it. But this is where it all comes down to, guys. They violated your constitutional freedoms, shredded your election integrity, overturned convictions of sexual predators, and enjoy lifetime catalytic pension plans at your own taxpayer expense, at your own taxpayer money. Let's fire these corrupt criminal justices. Come November 4th, 2025. Your polls are open 7 to 8 p.m. here in Pennsylvania. This is where we must get out and vote. This is where we come in or vote early in person. I think it starts in October. I could be wrong, but early in person voting starts in October. Or in person at the polls starts on November 4th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. This upcoming election is important. I can't stress it enough, and we got to get out there and vote. This is your voice. This is your country. This is your republic. This is your commonwealth. We have the power. It's in the people. It's in you, and we got to get out and vote in every single election and deconstruct the courts. But I'll post the pics up. I'll post information up on whatever social media. Follow me on the Lion's Den as we talk about upcoming elections, as I talk about what's going on in your state, what's going on with election integrity and grassroots and getting involved, and how you can get involved in starting a populist movement here in Pennsylvania and York County. We can do that. The other thing I found out was Janelle Stelson is rerunning against Scott Perry, and she moved to Cumberland Valley this time because she got backlash. So how do you like that? Carpetbagger. The carpetbagger is back at it again, and she thinks she can get away with it this time. But the people know better. The people don't want somebody who's not from that district or from that side of York County. They want somebody like Scott Perry, who's been there, lived there, know what the people want, and there's so much more. But we got to continue to vote. Tomorrow, I'll probably be on at 8 o'clock. Stay tuned to it and follow me. Click the follow button or the join button below. Like my podcast, share my podcast. Let's get out and vote. Let's get this thing rolling. We got to have a huge red wave populist movement in November 5th if we want to win back our state, take back what was stolen from you, your freedoms and your liberties in 2020. Well, have a good day, guys.